Ammo prices have turned into the sore spot of every gun conversation in the past few years. People whisper about the old days like legends from a lost world, and I can tell you firsthand, those days are not coming back. I remember paying under $10 for a box of 9mm, and nobody thought twice about grabbing a few extra boxes just to plink on the weekend. That price tag is gone. What we are living in today is the new normal, and the sooner shooters understand why, the better they can adapt instead of complaining at the counter. The turning point slammed us in 2020. COVID lockdowns, political chaos, millions of first-time buyers clearing shelves faster than factories could reload presses. It was like flipping a light switch on demand overnight. Suddenly, ammo wasn't just expensive, it was impossible to find. Walking into a store and seeing empty shelves became routine. Some calibers like 5.56 or 9mm might as well have been unicorn horns. The shortage felt brutal, but what really matters is what it revealed. Prices were never going back to pre-2020 levels because the entire structure of the industry shifted. Manufacturing is not a magic wand. People think, well, demand is slowing down, so shouldn't prices ease? That's not how it works. Raw materials like copper and lead went up and stayed up. Brass isn't cheap anymore. Powder costs more. The king of bottlenecks, primers, became the single most expensive ingredient in every round. I've talked to small batch ammo makers who told me straight primer cost alone dictates retail pricing. If they can't source primers at reasonable rates, they cannot deliver affordable ammo no matter how many casings they've got piled in the back. It's like trying to bake bread when flour costs triple. Doesn't matter if you've got a shiny oven, the ingredient cost rules everything. On top of that, labor and compliance costs keep climbing. Insurance for ammo factories isn't like insurance for a bakery. We're talking hazardous materials, environmental regulations, safety protocols that chew into profit margins. The big companies that expanded during the shortage are carrying debt and overhead that didn't exist before. You don't build new lines, hire hundreds of workers, take on federal safety audits, and then roll back prices just because people wish it. Economics doesn't run on nostalgia. And here's the part that really drives it home. During the peak panic, manufacturers scaled operations as fast as possible. That investment has to be paid for. Every bullet you buy today is covering not just material and labor, but the debt from those rushed expansions. So the idea that boxes will go back to $10 again is pure fantasy. Even if demand crashed tomorrow, baseline cost is locked in. The floor is concrete, not sand. Think about it this way. In 2019, ammo was basically a side thought for most shooters. Buy a gun, grab a couple boxes, done. In 2025, ammo is its own economy. It's tracked, speculated, and fought over. That shift didn't happen by accident. It happened because every link in the chain, raw materials, production, distribution, was stretched and reshaped, and none of it has snapped back. Ammo is like a spring that's been pulled past its limit. It doesn't rebound to the same shape. It settles in a new one. That's the foundation of why smart buyers have stopped waiting for the good old days. They know the industry crossed a line. Complaining about a $10 9mm is like wishing gas would drop back under $1 a gallon. It's not happening, and the ones who keep waiting are the ones who stay empty-handed. The shooters who adapt are the ones who will always be stocked, trained, and ready. The money side of the story doesn't end with factories and raw materials. Politics and policy have thrown another punch straight into the price tag. Tariffs and import restrictions hit the supply chain hard, and shooters feel it every time they scan a shelf. Russian ammo, for example, used to be the budget backbone for AK guys. Steel case 7.62-39 was stacked like soda cans. Then the import bans came down, and overnight what used to be the cheap option became scarce and expensive. That hole never got filled. Other foreign suppliers faced tariffs, and instead of a flood of cheap imports bringing competition, the stream slowed to a trickle. Less supply plus steady or rising demand equals the exact price wall we're staring at today. And demand isn't dropping, it's exploding. From 2020 to 2022, millions of new shooters showed up. That's not theory. That's cold sales data. First-time gun owners who picked up a pistol for personal protection didn't stop at just buying the firearm. They needed ammo, and once they shot their first box at the range, many got hooked. Shooting is addictive. It's fun. It's empowering, and it burns through ammo, like a teenage kid burns gas in his first beater car. Every one of those new shooters is now part of the permanent consumer base. More mouths to feed, more brass getting burned, and no signs of it slowing down. I've trained people who bought their first handgun in 2020 because they felt unsafe. 2 years later, I saw those same folks at the range running drills with ARs blasting through 500 rounds in a weekend. That's the real shift. Demand isn't just bigger, it's sticky. Once people learn the joy of running through magazines, they don't turn around and say, "I'll stop shooting to save money." They just find ways to buy more. That behavior locks in a new normal for demand that no factory can fully satisfy. Global politics make the picture even darker. Wars overseas eat ammo by the ton. Ukraine has consumed stockpiles of 5.56 and 7.62 that could have supplied civilian markets for years. Middle Eastern conflicts pull the same calibers off shelves. When governments order in bulk, they don't haggle or wait for a sale. They buy entire production runs, and factories prioritize those contracts. That leaves civilians with scraps. For every crate of 5.56 heading to a military base, that's one crate not hitting your local sporting goods store. This is why shelves look thin even when domestic demand doesn't spike, because the global buyer always wins. Ammo today is a commodity. Gold, silver, oil, same league. It trades fast, holds value, and laughs at inflation. I know guys who doubled their money flipping 9mm during the peak of the shortage. One of my buddies jokes that his IRA stands for, "I really like ammo." It's funny, but it's not far from the truth. Stacks of 5.56 in your basement are worth more than any certificate of deposit when the shelves go bare. People know this instinctively, which is why they keep buying even when prices pinch. So combine all of it together. Tariffs choke off cheap imports. Politics make supply unpredictable. Millions of new shooters keep the demand red hot. Wars overseas vacuum up production before it even touches civilian shelves. And the people who understand ammo as a commodity aren't just buying to shoot, they're buying to hold. All of those forces collide into one reality. The floor has risen, and it isn't falling back. This is why the smart buyers aren't wasting energy waiting for the miracle rollback. They see the writing on the wall. Ammo is no longer just a hobby expense. It's a resource, a hedge, a necessary investment if you want to train, compete, or simply stay prepared. The conversation is shifting from "when will it get cheaper" to "how do I make sure I never run dry?" And that's exactly where we're heading next. Smart buyers adapt. They know ammo is not just about price per round anymore, it's about strategy. Buying in bulk is the most obvious play. A single box here and there might get you through a weekend, but cases lock in value. Even if the per-round savings look small, it adds up fast. I've split cases with friends where each of us saved enough to buy another box outright. The bonus is peace of mind. Nothing feels better than opening your closet and seeing stacks ready to go. That's not paranoia, that's preparation. Reloading's another path. Not for everyone. Takes gear time and a saint's patience. Still, the shooters who invested in presses during the shortage are sitting in a sweet spot today. They treat primers like gold coins and brass like treasure. I know a guy who turned his garage into what looks like Willy Wonka's ammo factory, and he swears he hasn't bought a factory box in years. He reloads for himself, for his buddies, and still manages to stash plenty away. That's a level of independence that makes a shooter untouchable when shelves go bare. It's not magic, it's discipline. Timing plays a bigger role than most realize. Deals exist, but they don't sit around waiting. I once scored a 500-round case online just because I checked the site early in the morning while sipping terrible gas station coffee. By noon, that same deal was gone. That's the game. You don't panic buy, but you also don't hesitate when the right opportunity appears. Smart buyers train their habits like they train their trigger pull, quick, precise, and deliberate. Stories from the range drive home how critical this mindset is. I've seen shooters ration ammo so tightly they treated each round like a gold coin, counting every trigger press. I've also seen shooters burn through a case on drills without a second thought because they stacked ahead of time. The difference isn't about who has deeper pockets, it's about who had the foresight to buy when others hesitated. That foresight turns frustration into freedom. Another friend told me about the time he walked into a store and finally found a case of 5.56 after months of drought. He didn't think he just grabbed it, even though the sticker shocked him. 2 weeks later, the shelves were empty again and the price had jumped higher. That one decision kept him shooting all summer while others complained online. Lesson's simple action beats nostalgia. Complaints never filled a mag, and they sure as hell won't chamber a round. All of this circles back to the same truth. Waiting for ammo prices to collapse back to pre-2020 levels is like waiting for Blockbuster to make a comeback. It's not happening. The landscape changed permanently, and the ones who thrive are the ones who adjust their mindset. Ammo is not cheap, but it's still accessible if you're smart. You adapt, you strategize, and you keep your skills sharp without going broke. That's why I keep hammering this message. The shooters who get it are already stacking smart. They're training, they're prepared, and they're not wasting time chasing a ghost of the past. The ones who don't will stay frustrated and unprepared. And in this community, being unprepared is the worst place to be. So here's the challenge. Instead of waiting for the miracle sale that never comes, ask yourself what steps you can take today to secure your own supply. Bulk buy with a buddy, set up that reloading bench, or just start building consistent habits around buying. Do it with intention. Because every trigger press is worth it, and every round you own is one less you have to worry about tomorrow. If you've had a wild story about ammo prices, whether it's the time you scored a deal or the time you kicked yourself for hesitating, drop it in the comments. I guarantee you're not alone, and sharing those stories helps all of us get sharper. Smart buyers are out there stacking, and if you're still watching, you should be one of them.